Alrighty, good morning class. We are starting on 4.5 notes, which are dilations with slope. And so we are a little bit familiar with slope, and we know that slope, when we use a graph, we like to use the shortcut way, which is where we use rise over run, or the rate of change in y over the rate of change in x. So today we're going to be using slope in order to find dilations. And dilations, think about something that's expanding, making something bigger or smaller. They're very similar as in the shape and the direction that they are. They just are changing in size. And so let's find the slope of line A with our examples. We have line A, we have 2 points that are already dotted for us. I do rise over run, so I count up 1, 2, 3, and I go over 1, 2. And so remember, that's y over x, so my slope is 3 over 2 for line A. And then we'll do the same thing for line B. Of rise over run, I rose up 1, and I went over 1, 2, 3. So I have m equals negative 1/3. And I know that is negative 1/3 because it is decreasing. It's going downward. So just don't forget that when you're thinking of positive and negative slope. Is my line increasing like line A or decreasing like line B? So then we're going to go to the slope of line C. So I rose up 1, 2. So I rose up 1, 2. But I didn't run anywhere, so it's over 0. However, I can't have a number over 0. Definitely cannot divide those, so my slope is really undefined. Pardon the focus on here, it is acting a little wonky today. And then the slope of line D, I didn't rise any, so definitely have rate of change of y is 0, but I did run over 3. But this way I can pardon that class, it's still trying to figure out its focus, but I can divide 0 over 3, and that equals a slope of 0. So that is just us with a little practice of slope. Now let's say we didn't have a graph and we were given 2 coordinate points. Then you can use this slope. Now for me, I can use either direction. I can still use y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2, as long as you pay attention to your y's on top and your x's on the bottom. And if you have a negative y2 or a negative y1, do not forget those sign changes. So let's talk about example 2. Example 2 towards the bottom says find the slope of line segment. Remember, this means line segment with A as negative 2, negative 6, and B as 1, 2. So I have my m. Let's go ahead and use the first one. So I have y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And always label your points. So I have y2, I have 2 minus my y1, which is negative 6. This is why I said the sign changes come in handy. Make sure you use parentheses. And x2 is 1 minus my negative 2. So that turns into 2 plus 6 over 1 plus 2. Talked about those sign changes. And so 2 plus 6 is 8, and 1 plus 2 is 3. So my slope is 8/3. Let's see if I can do example 3. Example 3 says find the slope of line segment SY with S as negative 2, 4, and Y is 2, negative 2. So label my points. So let's plug in our values. I have y2 is first. I have negative 2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1. So this turns into our sign changes, turns to a plus and negative. So I have negative 6 all over sign changes here, turns into positive, so plus 4. And I can actually reduce this down to negative 3/2. So our slope is negative 3/2. Okay, so the first page on dilations with slope, all we did was use the slope formula in order to find the slope when we have a graph. So rise over run, we can count, or if we have 2 coordinate points, we can always use the slope formula. So on our next page, which you will get sometime today, it is a loose leaf sheet, but you'll get a sheet like this. It says using slope to finding dilating images. And so now this is where we tie into what does slope have to do with what we've been learning for the past couple of units. So this first example should help. It says use slope to produce a dilation of triangle ABC with a scale factor of 2, and then use 0, 0 as your center. So I'm not sure what happened to B prime, but B prime is there, and we'll fill that in as we go. But let's find the coordinates of A, B, and C. So coordinate A is negative 2, 3. Coordinate C, just keeping it in line, is 4, 2. And coordinate B is 3, 5. Okay, so when we are using slope and to produce a dilation, what we are doing is we're going to multiply its difference. So the slope is pretty much rise over run, which is saying y over x. So what is my y over x for A? Y is 3 all over x, which is negative 2. So pretty much a negative 3/2, but there's a reason I have that negative on the bottom. Because when I multiply with a scale factor of 2, I'm going to multiply my coordinate point by 2 over 2. Do not think of this as 1. That is not what that means. Think of you're dilating your coordinate point 3 times 2, and you're dilating your x coordinate point negative 2 by 2. Do not look at this as like a fraction. It is a scale factor. So don't think of this as 1, just multiplying by 2 and multiplying by 2. And so when I have 3 times 2, I have 6, and then negative 2 times 2 is negative 4. Do not reduce. So do not reduce, because this is your new coordinate point. So what is my y for A prime? My y is 6. And what is my x for A prime? Negative 4. Okay, so you see how that works? We'll do the same thing with C just to keep things in order. So C, I have 2 over 4 because I have y over x, and I'm multiplying it by a scale factor of 2. And this will actually make more sense when we do the next example with 1/2. So when I do that, I have 4 over 8, and remember it's y over x. My y coordinate is 4, and my x coordinate is 8. Then I'll do the same thing with B. B, I have 5 over 3, multiplying it by a scale factor of 2 over 2, and so I'm left with 10 over 6. So remember, it is the same as y over x. So my x coordinate is 6, and my y coordinate is 10. So that is my A primes, B prime, and C prime. So let's see what happens when I graph this. So I have negative 4, 6. It's A prime. And then I have B prime is 6, 10. And my C prime is 8, 4. So whether or not this crosses through B, I'm not sure. However, as you can see, it's definitely a bigger version of our smaller figure, ABC. Okay, so let's do the same thing with 5. It says use slope to produce a dilation of figure XYZ with a scale factor of 1/2. Use the origin 0, 0 as your center. So I have YZ, and again, I'm not sure what happened to X prime, but it is there. So let's find the coordinates of our y, z, and x. So y is negative 4, negative 4. Z is 6, 0. And x is 2, 8. Okay? So now it's saying I have to multiply by a factor of 1/2. So remember, I still have y over x. Don't forget that, y over x. That's why we use slope. So I have my is negative 4 over negative 4, and I'm multiplying it by a scale factor of 1/2. So I'm not going to do 1 over 2. I won't do that. I'm multiplying by a scale factor of 1/2. So both have to be by 1/2. Okay, so this is where it makes more sense to have it this way. So when I have half of negative 4, I have negative 2 over negative 2, and again, it's y over x. So new point for y prime is negative 2, negative 2. See, we do the same thing with z. So z, I have y over x. So I have 0 over 6 multiplied by my scale factor, 1/2 over 1/2. And any number times 0 is always 0. So I have 0, and then half of 6 is 3. So my new coordinate point is 3, 0. Then I'll do the same thing with mx to get my x prime. So I have 8 over 2 times the scale factor of 1/2. So 1/2 of 8, or 8 times 1 is 8, divided by 2 is 4. And then I have 2 times 1 is 2, divided by 2 is 1. So my new point for x prime is 1, 4. So now let's graph this one. So when I graph this one, I have -2 for y prime, and then z, I have 3, 0, and then x, I have 1, 4. So see, even with dilations, they don't always have to get bigger. They can always be the smaller part. So we see it fits nicely into there. Think about scale factor of 1/2. We cut every single part of our slope in half. And so this is what it looks like. So that is what it means by using dilation with the scale factors, using slopes. So always remember y over x, and do not reduce. Do not reduce. And when you're multiplying by a scale factor, it's always that whole scale factor over one another to get your new image from your pre-image. So if you have any questions, you know where to find me. I have tutorials Wednesdays and Thursdays after schools till 4 o'clock, and then you will start on your practice assignment. If you are missing this missing page, please feel free to find me so I can make you another copy, or you're more than welcome to get some from a friend. Or also go on Canvas. All these notes will be there as well as on YouTube, mansfieldisd.instructor.com. Thank you so much.